Hello family and welcome to our second weekly overview video. Before we start, please take some time to read our disclaimer. The analysis in this video are my personal view and not financial advices. The analysis are for educational purposes only, for you to learn how to use RHDL indicator. As usual, we'll start with the DXY, then check our open trades, then go over the majors, then do some AUD and CHF charts, and on the next video we'll cover the remaining Euro, JPY and GBP pairs. We always start with the daily and weekly time frame to draw our levels and do our price action analysis, then dive into H4 and H1 to look for potential setups and triggers. So let's start with the DXY. On the weekly time frame we have like a rejection candle, means that the bears tried to break this minor rejection level here, but the bulls are fighting back, as you can see here on daily time frame, especially that candle with a big wick from the downside. If we zoom into H4, we can see that this rejection is also a strong demand level here. Let's make it in red. And if we zoom into H1 time frame, we can see that we have an objective trend line here in red, which already broken here with a big momentum candle. So now I'm personally waiting for this level, 95.5, and if it's broken upward, then we can see the XY pushing higher and higher, because this level is a minor rejection level, as you can see here. Let's start with our open trades. Euro GBP on weekly time frame, we've got one more rejection candle rejecting this supply zone and this trend line found objectively on daily time frame. And here we have a big momentum candle closing outside this range, as you can see here. Means that the bears won the war here and are ready for a long run. Let's delete it. If you zoom into H4, here we had a triple top last week with a trio retest and a divergence, if you remember, and we were waiting for a candle close below this last week's standing, which happened on Friday night. So this trade is technically ready to go, and we are currently holding a sell around here, as I sent a trio retest trade here on M15 time frame. As you can see, an objective trend line, a divergence, and it's already broken by a big momentum candle. As I mentioned on Friday, I'm keeping my take profit open for now sitting at around plus 3R, and we are adding one more position on Monday morning. So now our short-term entry becomes our long-term entry, and we will add one more position as we have confirmation for our long-term setup. GBP USD on weekly time frame, we have a big momentum candle closing above previous week high. On daily time frame, we have our divergence completed and a big momentum candle pushing price higher. On H4 time frame, we also have a divergence here and a candle closing above our last swing standing on Friday. And as you know me, I don't like to take new entries on Fridays, but anyway, I'm going to wait on this one as the stop loss is huge, so we don't have a good risk reward ratio. So I'm going to wait on this one and look for better entries, long entries with better risk reward ratio. Anyway, I've sent a short-term entry with 0.25R for those who didn't catch the Euro GBP trade. Now it's running around entry, so we're going to wait on this one, leaving our take profit open for now. And we are going to watch its reaction here, and if it breaks it upward, then our short-term entry will become our long-term one, just like we did on Euro GBP. We are also looking for better opportunities for long-term setups on GBP USD, because as long as it's still above this red zone, it's still bullish. Euro USD On weekly we have a shy bullish candle with a big wick on the upper side, means that the bulls tried to break above 1.15, which is a strong level, but ended up closing below it. We can see it better on daily time frame. The last two candles were bearish. On H4 you can see that the last two candles were aggressive, pushing price lower. So we decided to close this trade as it closed below this last swing standing in orange, which is the last swing standing of this objective trend line in purple. So for now we close this one with a small loss of minus 0.25 R, and overall I'm still bullish on this one as it's still above this long-term trend line in brown. So we'll be looking to re-enter this trade for long opportunities around here when it is done with the retest, or if this objective trend line is completed right here, or if we've got a big bullish candle, momentum one, proving us that the bulls are gaining strength again. So let's wait on this one and see what happens. Now let's check gold. On weekly we have two rejection candles here, means that the bulls are tired and found resistance around this level in gray, which is found objectively on daily time frame. As you can see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 touches, a very strong one. On H4 time frame, price is forming like a double top, found objectively on H1 time frame. As you can see, we also have a divergence and price is forming like a symmetrical triangle in red. So our last swing standing is this one, as you can see, which is the last swing standing of the double top. So now we are waiting for a momentum candle close below it and below our objective trend line here in purple to sell this one, because we have around 4 confluences here: our rejection zone, double top, symmetrical triangle, and divergence. So let's wait on this one and see what happens. USD CHF. On weekly we have a rejection candle with a big wick from the downside, pushing price higher. On daily time frame, price found support at this trend line, which is found objectively on H4, and trading inside this channel in orange, which is also found objectively on H4 time frame. As I mentioned last week that I don't recommend a sell around here, as USD/CHF is a bit crowded, so we may look for long opportunities around here. As I mentioned on the daily time frame, that I'm only interested in selling this one around here next to our rejection zone in blue. So I'm waiting for this one to get around here and then look for short opportunities when it breaks below this objective trend line. USD JPY. On weekly we have an indecision candle, and as you can see on daily and H4 time frame, it was a calm week for JPY. On H1 last week we were waiting for a new red dot to form around our trend line to consider it our last swing standing. So here we go, a new red dot is formed, and now we are waiting for a momentum candle close above our last swing standing, which is also above our support area in red. Our stop loss is always the last swing from the other side around here, and if you want to be extra conservative, you can go for 107 as it is below this long-term trend line in brown. NZD/USD. On weekly we have a big momentum candle pushing price higher. On daily time frame we have nothing to mention for now. On H4, as I mentioned last week, I'm waiting NZD/USD to get to our blue zone to look for short opportunities. On H1 we had an opportunity 2 weeks ago that had TP last week, and now we are waiting for the third blue dot to form around here to consider this line objective. We also have a divergence forming right now, so we are waiting for NZD/USD to create a third dot here, get around our blue zone, and look for short opportunities below our trend line, because here we got 3 confluences. When this one is completed and trend line break, and we have a rejection zone around here. USD CAD. On weekly we have a shy bearish candle, as you can see, big wick from the downside, as the last 2 days was bullish on this one. On H1 we had our take profit hit last week on Monday, I guess. Then USD CAD found support around 1.315 as it's a strong demand zone around here. Let's delete it, forming like a double bottom and a divergence. So a bullish movement is expected here as the last swing standing is already broken. AUD USD, our last USD pair. On weekly we have a big momentum candle after a massive rejection candle as discussed last week. On daily we have a divergence forming now. On H4 we already have a divergence. On H1 we were waiting for a retest to buy this one, but the retest didn't happen. So now we are waiting for our second entry opportunity. We had a break on Friday, but as you know me, I don't enter trades on Fridays. So now I'm waiting for another momentum candle close above this last swing standing to consider buying this one. Now let's go over our AUD and CHF pairs. AUD CAD was bullish last week, as you can see on weekly and daily time frame. Big momentum candles pushing price higher. As I mentioned last week, I'm waiting AUD CAD to get to our red zone to look for high probability buy opportunities, or blue zone to look for high probability sell opportunities. Anyway, now it's sitting at a strong rejection level, 0.96. 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. So you may see some rejection around here. And now we have a trend line forming, an objective one. 1, 2, we're waiting for the third touch. So let's wait on this one and see what happens here. Are we going to have a continuation or a break to get to our blue zone? AUD NZD. On weekly we have a rejection candle with a big wick from the upper side, rejecting this long-term trend line in brown. On daily we have nothing to mention for now. On H4 we are still waiting for a momentum candle close above this level, 1.063, which is also a break outside our red zone for more confirmation. AUD CHF. On weekly we have a big momentum candle closing outside our red zone. On daily we have a divergence now forming. On H1 we were waiting for a retest to jump in. I personally didn't catch it as I was asleep. If you caught this one, please keep holding. CAD CHF. Just like AUD CHF, we have a big momentum candle closing above our red zone. On daily time frame now we have our bow and arrow confirmed as discussed on the last video, as price broke back on the other side of the red zone and inside this long-term trend line. On H1 we had an entry opportunity around here, so if you caught it, please keep holding as long as price is still above this objective trend line. Now we have NZD CHF. Just like CAD CHF and AUD CHF, we have a big momentum candle on weekly and daily time frame. We also have an entry opportunity here on H1. Now price is sitting at a minor rejection level, 0.673, but if you caught this one, you would have your stop loss around entry because NZD CHF reached +1 hour last week, so keep holding. The last pair for part 1 is going to be NZD CAD. On weekly we have a bullish rejection candle, as you can see, very big wick from the downside. On daily we have a big momentum candle pushing price higher. On H4 and H1 we were holding a sell on this one, but NZD CAD kicked us out on break even last week. But as I mentioned in the last video, do not worry as we are still bearish on this one as long as it's still below our blue zone, so we will look for re-entry opportunities around here. That's it for part 1, and part 2 will go over the remaining Euro, JPY and GBP pairs.